Having tried the Ducati Monster 821 and then tried a limited edition version of the Triumph Thruxton, I had a great idea. Why not combine the two and go for a limited edition version of the Ducati Monster? I'm currently out on the M6 at the moment. Awful drive, it's a long way to go. I've got a 5-hour round trip travelling up to have a look at this one bike which I have to see. It's a Ducati limited edition. It's over 20 years old and it's only had one owner from new. So here it is, the Ducati Monster, but it's no ordinary Ducati Monster. It's the Ducati Monster S4R, which is the most powerful one they made. It's the race version with no ABS, no lean angle control, none of all that. It's just the raw bike. And here's the thing. So this bike is 22 years old, has only one owner from new. The same person's owned it from new, and it's only done 9,000 miles. I bought it from Millennium Motorcycles and I bought it for just over £3,500, and that included getting new belts from Ducati. Well, I only had this bike delivered yesterday at 6 o'clock in the morning from Millennium Motorcycles, where I bought it. And I've calculated, given how long it takes to get from where I live to Millennium Motorcycles, the guy must have left the place at around 3:30 in the morning. Now, it's not the first Ducati Monster I've had. I used to own a Ducati Monster 750 many years ago and rode it to John O'Groats and back, and it was fantastic. It was a perfect combination between a sports bike and an upright bike. It hits the sweet spot perfectly. And interestingly, this Ducati Monster S4R is around the same sort of year as my Ducati 750 Monster at the time. This is quite a bit heavier, or it feels quite a bit heavier than the Monster I had before. I'm sure it is heavier, and so you've really got to make sure you've got a good plant on the ground when you're manoeuvring it around. The other thing with this bike is these dials, of course. It's got the special Magneti Marelli dials with the white outer ring and the black inner ring, on the dials, which is not the same as the standard Monster. I believe, having had one in the past, the standard Monster was the black dials with the red needles, and this of course has got the black and white dials. Keeping to the dashboard, very basic. The only thing you have on these on the digital part of the display is a trip meter, just one trip meter, and the general mileometer, and you can either display the time or the temperature, the engine temperature, and that's it. That's all you can do. So very, very basic this. It doesn't even have a fuel gauge, which is something I'm going to have to get used to. I'm really hoping that the fuel light works on this, so I'm presuming that the fuel light will come on when I've got about 30 miles left in the tank. That's what the usual rule of thumb is. So what I've done is I've filled the tank with fuel, and I've made sure that I'm using E5 fuel as well, which is the better, higher octane fuel for this kind of engine. And I'm just going to ride it until the fuel light comes on, and have a look at the trip meter to see how many miles I've got out of a tank. The ride height on this bike is slightly higher than the ride height on the standard Monster. And but you can still get your feet comfortably down, or I can. So it's still okay. I still have a lot of confidence on it from the point of view of getting my feet down. I like to be able to get both feet on the floor, and you can on this, but it is slightly higher on the saddle than the standard Monster. So the brakes on this bike are pretty soft, whether that's just because of its age and maybe it needs some brakes changing, I don't know, but the brakes I find are quite soft, especially the back brake. And of course, something you don't see on modern bikes now that this bike has is a choke. Just down here, this choke lever. And when I first came to start it, it wouldn't start. It was really struggling. It did start, but it was really struggling. And I suddenly realised, oh, hang on a minute, I need to pull the choke forward. So yeah, so another quirk is having to use a choke to start the engine, and then also, most importantly, having to remember to turn the choke off when the engine's reached temperature. It gives you that perfect, for me anyway, that perfect riding position halfway between a sports bike and an upright bike. So it's enough to be able to get into corners with confidence. But then once you get onto the straights, you can really open it up. It's an absolute joy. The thing you notice with this bike though is the extreme level of engine braking. As soon as you take your hand off the throttle, the deceleration is almost like you've got your hand on the brake and you're very gently squeezing the brake. But the noise and the power is absolutely awesome. Unbelievable. It's extremely difficult to exercise constraint on this bike. Very easy bike to ride, very easy bike to master once you get used to the fact that you've got to be very careful on that throttle for two reasons. One is, obviously, if you rip the throttle open, the back wheel, well, the power through the back wheel will cause the front wheel to come up really quick. I mean, you could pull a wheelie so easily on this thing. But by the same token, when you let off the throttle, the engine braking is quite fierce, and if you're in a car park and you're going into a car park in a turn, and you suddenly let off the throttle, you could actually drop the bike, I think.